Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Elite City Podcast. I'm Rick. I'm here today with Janine, who I'm going to call Jay because I can't call you Janine. It feels wrong. How's it going?
It's great. How's it going, Rick?
Wonderful. I was thinking earlier today that this feels like when a faction has a tag team and then one of the members of the tag team is injured and someone else fills in, and it just they're all in the same group. It works, but it doesn't feel like the way it's supposed to be.
For sure. Definitely.
Like when Matt Hardy teamed with like one of the guys in Private Party, it was just like, yeah, I get it, and it works, but it should be the other guy. No offense to you, of course.
I am Kurt Angle of the Shield.
I love that. That was amazing.
It was so great.
It was like really stupid, but I loved it.
Like he was just happy to be there.
We're not going to talk about that too much, but I remember there being a thing of like this, like when you bring your dad to the concert, and it was like
exactly
Seth
that.
and Dean at the time, and then just Kurt Angle being like just smiling in the background and be like, "Hey guys," they're like,
yes.
I thought your dad was going to stay in the car, man.
Yes, it was exactly that.
It was great, but we're not here to talk about WWE from 10 years ago or whenever that was. We're here to talk about all things AEW. Before we start, if you're listening to this right now, no matter how you're listening, what you're listening on, remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. What else should they do?
Smash that like button.
Yes, you have to smash the like. You can't just tap it or press it. I think you have to smash it, right?
Smash that like button.
It doesn't work as effectively if you don't smash it. So,
right.
As far as I've been told.
That kind of scared me when you said 10 years ago because we are creeping up on that.
Oh yeah, I think I overestimated for a fact, but then I was like, you know what, it might have been 10 years ago.
It's creeping up closely.
Yeah. So do all those things. You'll never miss an episode. You'll also be helping us spread the word as well. So thanks a lot in advance. I'm assuming you did it, and now because I thanked you for it, now you have to. You can feel guilty if you don't do it. So if you haven't already done all those things, I'm thanking you for doing it right now. So, I mean, if you don't do it, you're accepting this thank you, and you didn't do it. So you should feel bad.
If you aren't smashing that like button, this is who you're being mean to. And I just don't appreciate it.
Now we're just like shaming people into liking us, which is
wrestling shame.
Good. That's right. Exactly. So anyway, how was that? How was my intro? Was it good?
That was good. I like that.
Did I forget anything?
No, that was pretty fun. That was spot on.
Well, speaking of another great intro, see what I did there? It's a segue. Intro to Dynamite. AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland kicked off the show this week. I like that. I thought they usually start the show with a match, but I kind of like them starting with a promo.
I definitely liked having Swerve out there as since he is the AEW champion. I thought that was pretty cool to bring him out, and have him talk for a little bit. It's appropriate.
Yeah, definitely. He came out. He started talking about Will Ospreay, of course, his upcoming match with Will Ospreay. I liked the way he took it. He said, the biggest stars of the generation, 2 killers, and then wait, actually more like 1 killer, which I really liked. That's right.
Yeah.
I liked how they tied into last year's Forbidden Door. He's like, oh, last year, you were a killer. You beat Kenny Omega. I was there. In case you didn't know, I was at that Forbidden Door. Have I mentioned that yet?
No, I don't think you have, Rick.
Yeah, I was there.
At that Forbidden Door?
I kept it pretty quiet, but I was there. But yeah, I liked it that he just like, last year you were an assassin, you were a killer, but now not so much. I like how it played into, Ospreay being worried after he thought he hurt Bryan Danielson, how he's kind of got soft in Swerve's eyes, and I liked it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was a cool intro. I really enjoyed that.
And it does kind of, because they're both faces, so you kind of have you still have to find a way to have a conflict between them.
Build up that tension before the match. It works this way when they're both faces, like you said. Yeah, you got to build up something so it means something.
Yeah, and Swerve is, not a nice guy. Swerve, I love that they haven't shied away from like, oh yeah, this is the same guy who like broke into a gym and beat up a guy and threatened a baby and like broke a cement block over someone. Like they haven't pretended he didn't do those things, so I like that.
Right, and doesn't he also kind of like, he's kind of like that person who has like the little voice in their head that goes a little cuckoo, so he gets like that little change to him, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I like it. I like they're comparing Swerve, his like crazy side to Will Ospreay. Seems to like, when he came to Toronto recently, he was just like, I apologize for, I was kind of a jerk last time. Like he's trying to be a better guy and like be friendlier, and Swerve is like, no, this is not working for you. This is like, you have to be tougher or you're gonna lose.
Right.
I thought it was cool.
Cool intro for sure. And then the Young Bucks showed up.
Yeah, the Young Bucks showed up, and they did some stuff with shoes. So that was a thing that happened. It was fine. They talked about how Blood and Guts is coming up, and at first they tried to get Swerve to join them. Obviously, that didn't work.
Yes.
So they ended up attacking him, and that brought out the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. Were you surprised by that?
I was, actually. I didn't expect the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn to show up.
Yeah,
those were like the least expected to come out.
Yeah.
For me.
Now, when they do Blood and Guts, obviously the Elite's probably going to get one more person. Swerve has to have a group. Do you think it's going to be the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn?
Most likely. I could see them building up to that through the way that they came out and rescued him.
I can't see Billy Gunn being in that match. No offense to Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
But it seems weird. I can see the Acclaimed. Like the Acclaimed, you wouldn't think of them being in a Blood and Guts match, but they could make it work. But
right, Billy Gunn, no, can't see it.
That would seem really weird to me. But I don't know. Who else would it be? Who do you think? Take your guesses. Who do you think is? Who do you think is going to be the Elite's extra person?
The Elite's extra person. I'm wondering if it's somebody even too that would take me by surprise. You'd think it would be. I'm thinking somebody like Samoa Joe or something. Not that he would, but just somebody kind of that caliber. You want somebody mean. You want somebody heavy.
Hangman would kind of work because.
Hangman would work for.
It would work, but I kind of like him apart from the Elite. I don't know if I really like him being just back in with the Elite again. But it would work.
Yeah, it would definitely work.
It would work because he obviously has a built-in thing with Swerve, and he has a history with the Elite. That would definitely work.
Yeah.
I also thought Sammy Guevara, because he hasn't been around in a while, and I thought
I forgot about Sammy.
The same way that they had, everyone kind of did. I'm pretty sure that at some point Tony Khan forgot about Sammy Guevara. But the same way that they kind of had Jack Perry, the corporate world, the corporate staff at AEW treated you badly, but we're not like that. We're bringing you back. Like they could do the same sort of thing with Sammy, because there was that internet rumor that he got suspended.
True.
In that match, and they could say like, "Oh, he was suspended, but he was suspended like 6 months ago. Why would you like?"
Right. They could totally run with that. Like, oh, that was unfair. Here we're gonna make it up to you, and we'll let you be part of the team. I could totally see that happening.
And this is gonna be my one shot. It would be significantly better than putting Sammy back with Chris Jericho, because I would scream.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I get it. I like that AEW has storylines that remember the past. I like that.
Right, because WWE often like to be like, that didn't happen.
Right.
Or they'd erase something, like that didn't happen, or they'd really there was no continuity. AEW really likes to stick to continuity, which I like. It makes more of a believable story when that way.
Yeah, if you were friends with somebody and then you didn't speak to them for a little while, the next time you see them, you remember who they were. It's not like they're a new person. Right. But I really hope it's not Chris Jericho. I don't want them to continue that. Sammy's kind of been attached to him in
the past,
forever, since the beginning, and I think he doesn't need to be anymore. So I hope it's not. I would kind of want Sammy to be in this match, just so that he'd have something to do that's different from what he'd done in the past. But I don't know.
That'd be fun. Sammy would fit in a Blood and Guts match, I think, too.
Yeah,
that would fit for sure.
He could jump off something.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side, I don't know. I can see the Acclaimed. I can see them, because the Acclaimed they were really hot a year or so ago, and then they've kind of cooled down. So I could see them putting them in this match to try to heat them back up again. But Billy Gunn, I don't know. He's isn't he 60? I don't know if he's gonna.
Yeah. What if they got Pac?
That would be fun.
Pac would be fun.
I'm thinking it'd have to be someone who's quote unquote loyal AEW. It has to be right. Yeah, Pac's been there since the beginning. That would work.
I think Pac
would that. Fit. Yeah. Now, would he be wet?
He'd have to be.
Of course.
Wet and angry and yelling and calling us all bastards. Yeah.
You could also have Death Triangle or the Lucha Bros in there.
Yeah. The Lucha Bros are fun.
That would work. Fun. Yeah, it'll be fun. I like it. What do you think, though, of... We've talked last week, we talked about lack of stakes in matches, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think if they just had Anarchy in the Arena, which was a cool match, but then it kind of now it's just like, oh, but that wasn't the toughest match we can have. Now it's blood and guts.
Now
Like
it's blood and guts. But see, and it's still kind of like we've said before. I feel like I was hoping Matt and Nick would give us something more about like, well, tonight we're gonna do this. Like to
Yeah.
actually go out there and be assertive. I really feel like there needs to be more control of the program rather than
Yeah.
just like self-claimed EVPs. Like we have control, and then but they don't do anything with that. So I really think
Yeah.
that should be more incorporated as we go forward. Like we talked before, it would be great if they were like, well, we have control of Dynamite on Wednesdays, so you're going to do what we say. I think that would be cool if they did something like that, but it just seems kind of like it's a match for the sake of a match at this point.
Yeah, I agree. And they do seem like they're more like just annoying jerks and not people in charge.
Right.
Like
It'd be
they're being
really
annoying,
fun.
but yeah.
I mean, yeah, it could be really fun if they went with the angle of being like that kind of a manager, like
Yeah.
you know, like I'm getting on your nerves, and I know you're doing your job right and everything, but I'm just gonna like nitpick and micromanage.
Yeah.
Like they could really run with that and have a really
Like
cool
have you
run with it.
seen Office Space?
Oh, have I seen Office Space?
Yeah, I feel like the manager there, like if they were like him, like that was great, but we're
But
gonna need you to have another match.
yes.
You have to
And you're
defend
gonna
your title maybe on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be fun. Yeah, be like a really annoying like manager. That'd be fun.
Yes.
I would like that a lot. I don't know how I feel about them having Anarchy in the Arena and Blood and Guts as like yearly events that happen at a designated time and place.
I can see why you'd think that, because then it almost feels like something has to go a certain way, like storyline wise, to fit that narrative.
I get it. I mean, I get it. Like marketing wise, it makes sense.
Right.
But like when like WWE used to have like the Hell in the Cell pay per view, and now they even have a War Games pay per view. Like it's just they have to kind of generate a feud out of because like they're working backwards from the match, right? Like it's
right. Like they have their designated Money in the Bank. They have their designated like every month is the same pay-per-view every year. I think it switches a couple times, but it's still the same, just about the same.
Yeah, I don't love that. And it kind of, I don't know, if Anarchy in the Arena was great. I'm not saying it was a bad match and I don't want to see it again because it was a great match and I would love to see more of them. But like having Anarchy in the Arena as like the big blow off match where we set someone on fire and hang someone, and then like then 2 months later they're like, but actually this match is more dangerous.
Like how could you get more brutal? I mean,
yeah, like what are they gonna do?
Run somebody over with a car? Is somebody gonna get hit by the bus?
They did that. They had they ran Darby over with the bus.
That's right. The bus. Okay, sorry. You know me, I'm too poor for pay-per-views.
Like what are they actually gonna do? They already set someone on fire. They hung somebody.
Are they gonna do like the classic like cartoony villain, like tie somebody to a rocket and like send it off into space?
Yeah, they should get
like
like Acme villain, like drop an anvil on somebody and like have them stand on a platform and then saw off the platform.
Yes, somebody run into a painted wall.
Yes.
like the coyote and the Roadrunner.
That actually sounds like something the Young Bucks would do.
It would be, yeah. I think if they got really campy and cartoonish, it could be fun.
Yeah, that's obviously been one of my problems with the Young Bucks is they don't pick a lane. I feel like they should either be just obnoxious jerks who everybody hates, or like take the campiness kind of over the top and just be
right,
yeah.
taking the piss, like just go with it.
Yeah, but either way. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's gonna be fun. It'll be a good match. It's gonna be. I want to know who they pick. I feel like I'm nitpicking all the time, but the show is generally pretty good, so I feel like nitpick.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I think, if they pick the wrong people, it might not give you the best, like, not outcome for the match, but it might not make the match the same. You know what I mean? Like, it might just be a little lackluster. So
that's why it seems a little weird if it's going to be the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn and then Swerve. Like, Swerve is good. The Acclaim makes sense, but, like, there'll be one other person. But, like, when you had the Anarchy in the Arena match they just had, that was, like, AEW's best, right? It was Danielson and it was Darby and... So now it's like, oh, we have AEW's best, but actually these guys are AEW's, and it's like different guys, and just like, okay. What about on that note? What about MJF? Would you put him in here?
MJF, the man who has one scarf and that becomes his personality.
Well, he doesn't have the scarf anymore. The scarf.
I know.
He doesn't wear the scarf anymore.
But the design's on the T-shirt, the Louis Vuitton.
Yeah. It's
No,
Burberry,
I mean,
excuse me. It's not Louis
oh, it's
Vuitton.
Burberry. I'm
Come
sorry.
on, Jay.
I don't own anything
Come
designer.
on.
I have a knockoff Coach purse. Um,
MJF would kind of work if it is
yeah,
supposed to be like AEW's best to defend
right.
them.
Yeah, for sure. I could see it like being MJF. I mean, would it get a little messier that way? I think so.
And it would kind of give him something to do that's not immediately challenging for the title.
Right, right. They could, yeah, thrust him into that, and it would be a little more entertaining than just another title run.
Yeah. Well, speaking of MJF, his future opponent Roosh came out for what was basically a squash match. Now,
That was
my
quick.
nitpick
Great.
on this was if you're doing a match that's supposed to spotlight Roosh, why would you have him face a guy whose name is almost exactly his name?
That was so strange.
It was Roosh against Rooshman. Like,
Rushman.
you couldn't find somebody else. Like, no offense to Dion Rooshman, perfectly fine wrestler, I'm sure, but like, why are you putting those guys with almost identical names?
Maybe this was the work of the Bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very well. And then, thankfully, it was a squash match. So it was over pretty quick, so we didn't have to endure another 15-minute match. But
Right.
no, it was odd because it was really quick, and then it was like, here's MJF.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to beat each other up, and they got the whole locker room involved, and everybody's holding each other back, and that kind of classic thing going on.
I love the psychology of the locker room running out because I always think, okay, why did they choose this feud to run out?
Right.
And not the last time when someone was getting beaten. Like, why is it here?
Right.
I know
Right.
that's stupid, and I'm not upset about that.
Right. Why wasn't anybody coming out to help Swerve other than the Acclaimed? Like, where's everybody else? Like, that's your AEW champion, right?
Yeah. Or sometimes, like, when Swerve was like had a cinder block and broke Dustin Rhodes' ankle with it, the locker room's like, yeah, that's fine. We're okay with that. But MJF and Roosh, they broke the catering table. That's a step too far.
That is. It's the catering table.
That's true. How are you supposed to get your post-match or pre-match meal if they
That's right.
broke your table? So that means next week, Dynamite, MJF versus Roosh, and it'll be commercial free.
Yeah,
That
I
seems
think
like
that's a good
Go
way
ahead.
to kick off Dynamite, I think, just to give everybody wants MJF in the ring right now. That's the hottest thing. Run with it. Go with it,
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, ratings, not that we're going to go into ratings, but ratings haven't been amazing for AEW recently, so that might help.
I think so for sure. And, like we've discussed in the past with Punk and with Mercedes coming back, like everybody wants that. Let's give it to him first. That's probably the best thing that AEW does is just give everybody what they want first thing right out of the gate.
I do really like that because wrestling tends to have this tendency of like, we know what you like and we're going to make you wait.
Right. Like
thing.
every episode of Raw, like, oh, this is, you've been waiting for this to come and it's coming up next. It's coming up next. And you go through like 4 commercial breaks and 3 matches and you still haven't seen the big draw that they were calling for, So.
Right. So I like that AEW does it. They're like, even like when Mercedes debuted or when Punk debuted, they came out at the beginning of the show. They didn't make you wait for like the entire program. Like you're there to see Mercedes debut, just have her debut. And
that was the best way to do it. Yep.
Yeah. So I like that Max is just going to start the show. Do you think this is going to be like a definitive match? Is someone going to win cleanly, or will there be shenanigans that will require another match?
I don't think it's going to end clean. I think this is going to be a long, drawn-out brawl, I think.
Yeah. I can see some like maybe LFI versus guys getting involved or somebody getting involved so that they have to have another match because I don't think this is it.
Yep.
Now, that match wasn't the only match with a post-match attack. Surprisingly, it's wrestling. I know you'd think it'd be very clean and
they don't do
orderly.
that a lot in wrestling. Come on.
No, never. Trent attacked Orange Cassidy after his trios match.
Yes.
What I really liked about this was that Willow made the save, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, Willow has been coming to his side for a while now, which is cool. I like Willow. I think she's awesome. I've seen her wrestle and enjoy, so I have nothing but like praises for her because she's great. She's so good in the ring. And then Statlander obviously decided, no, I'm not going to have any of that. And I really like what they've been doing with Kris lately. She's been great too. And then, obviously this is a long running feud between OC and Trent. So
yeah, Stat as a heel has worked really well. I really like it. I think she's done a great job. Willow, obviously, like you said, is great. It's another women's storyline too, and it doesn't involve a title.
Yeah, there's so much cool stuff they can do in the back end of things. Like, it doesn't have to be like a main event thing.
Right.
It's just like, here's a thing going on the side with Willow and Statlander, and you have your stuff with Tony, and you can have multiple things. You could have Saraya doing something else. I mean, you can have other things going on. It doesn't have to all be in the ring,
Right.
because we only get one women's match a night. So
Yeah. Yeah, that still is weird. I mean, they have more feuds now. They are trying. I'll give them that they're trying. There used to only be like one women's feud for the world title, and that was the feud that you got.
Yep.
And now there's more. Like, it's great. There's several women's feuds happening now, and they're all really good. But still, just the one match. It's a little odd. And when they do have two matches, I think they've had two matches on like Collision. I don't know if they've had two on Dynamite, but when they've had two on Collision or Rampage, one of them's always kind of a squash.
Kind of, yeah, real quick, and they get them out. Yeah.
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 But I like this. I like that Willow made the save for Orange, because you never really see women make the save for a guy.
Right. It's always like the dudes coming out like bros supporting bros kind of thing, and you never see that kind of thing with the women. I think that's cool too.
Yeah. I really like I mean, everything Willow's done kind of since she showed up. I knew nothing of Willow. Like, I know you saw her before, but I knew nothing at all about her before she was in AEW, but she's kind of been great since she showed up. Like, I've liked her immediately.
Yeah. I love her. I love that she's not like a glam queen too. She's just like in a t-shirt and jeans and her chucks, and she looks adorable. And I love that she's not this made up glam queen. She just looks like she's having fun, and she's out there, doing her thing. I like that about her too. I will say too, for Kris being a heel, I thought, Kris's thing with the alien was cool. It was something different, but it obviously didn't work out. And she has just been on fire since.
She really has.
Turning heel. She's been amazing. Yeah.
And Stokely really helps, because I mean, she's fine at promos, but she's not great at promos. So having Stokely be there,
it's some people just need the mic, need somebody on the mic for them, and that's okay. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, at least one person who needs someone on the mic for them, we had Hook along with Samoa Joe.
And Samoa Joe is like one of the best on the mic.
Yeah, Samoa Joe does not need anyone, but Hook
I could
does.
do like a whole Dynamite of just listening to Samoa Joe talk trash, honestly.
Samoa Joe just like be like ruthless to people. Like like there's a lot of people who are on the mic who are like, they're really clever, or they come up with great sayings, or they they just have extra charisma, but like he's just mean and just ruthless.
He's
and
so
like
mean.
And like cutting. He's just like, it's great.
He's just so good. I know, going back to the thing he did with AJ and WWE always will stick with me. The "Who's your daddy?" I mean, I think that stuck with everybody. That was just so pointed, and I think that everybody remembers that. And he just has run with it. He's so good.
We've good talked on the mic. Before about how when JR is commentating, you can tell who he really likes, and Joe was one of the people you could tell who he really likes.
Yes.
And there's been a couple times when he's like, "How could you have a wrestling company and not have Samoa Joe involved?" And I'm like, he probably told that to Vince McMahon 10 years ago, and Vince McMahon didn't listen. And JR's like, "See, I told you." It's great. What do you think of his team with Hook?
It's odd, but I mean, I guess I could see it like they're trying to make it work, and then it blows up on them. I assume that could be the angle they're going for with this, because they had issues.
Team Samoa Joe is in kind of blows up. Eventually.
Right, and I mean they had issues in the past and that, and then but I could see them being like, "Oh, we've worked out our differences," and then it just all blows up in their faces for sure.
I do like the idea of Joe kind of teaching them how to be.
Like come on, let's go do your like he's like, do your stretches and run through the tunnel, and
and Shibata on the camera I thought was funny. I just like
it. I didn't even like realize that was going to lead to shenanigans.
I like it. I like that. I didn't watch Collision, but I saw highlights of Collision. I like that they beat down the varsity athletes. Yeah, varsity athletes, premier athletes. Sorry, They beat them down backstage, and then Shibata was on camera, and I like that. AEW, when there's moments where there's a camera where there shouldn't be a camera, they explain why there's a camera there, which I always liked, because it always seemed really dumb in every other wrestling company. Two heels are conspiring and there's a camera clearly recording them as they're like planning out their next step, and like they don't say anything, like they just forget that the camera's there. So I like them acknowledging that, oh yeah, there's a reason this camera filmed this attack. It's because like our friend basically stole a camera.
Not to worry, it's just Shibata.
Yeah. I like that. Like he stole, like in kayfabe, he stole a camera, but it's still connected to the main feed.
Yes.
And they're still throwing to that camera. even though
Even though
just
it's
like,
Shibata just standing
yeah,
there with the camera.
it's just been
I know.
commandeered by like a wrestler who's just holding it. It's great.
It was awesome. It was great.
It was fun. Another fun match. Mercedes Moné
Oh,
against. I'm going to butcher this presentation. I believe it's Zeuxis. Is it Zeuxis?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
I
I don't
think
think anybody said it the same the whole
I
night
think
throughout the
Tony
commentary.
Schiavone and Taz said it like 4 or 5 different ways.
Right. And she's cool. She's got the lucha vibe going, but
I like her.
she did really well against Mercedes. I mean, if it's just we've talked about too, like Mercedes, the way she sells, she goes flying like a rag doll, and her limbs are like all different directions, and she just lays there, and then she just like gets back up, like she sells so well.
I said this to you guys when we were talking during the show that like Mercedes, she's a great heel. Like I think she should be a heel because she's a great heel, but she just wrestles like a face. Like you throw her and she looks like she could break. Like she just like she looks like she got snapped in half on every single move. Like she just seems like a face when she wrestles. Like you want her to get back up, but then like her personality is just like
she's just
obnoxious
mean.
and like a heel.
Yeah, but and I love to like every time she's wrestling, even when she's trying to like look hurt, she's still got a big smile on her face. Like she's out there having fun, and she's doing this the way she wants to do it, unlike with like unlike how I'm sure things were decided for her in WWE. And she's out there having fun, and she went to Japan, and she worked with all these different people, and she just to hone her craft and get better. And I just feel like we are so lucky we get to see her wrestle again.
I agree. She feels a little bit like Mox or Danielson, where like if there was no one watching and no one around, but she got to wrestle some like match that she's always dreamed, she would still do it, and she'd be thrilled.
She'd be just so happy, to do it. Yep.
Just to like wrestle some Japanese wrestler that no one's ever heard of in an empty building somewhere. Like she would just be happy to get to do it. Like she just loves it.
Exactly. She loves her job.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to her match at Forbidden Door?
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be fun. I don't really know anything about Stephanie Vacker. It's Vacker, I think.
Yes, I don't really either, but I don't know. I'm always looking forward to Mercedes matches. Like even in WWE, we all hate Michael Cole, but he said it's boss time, and I'm looking at the TV. I really always enjoyed watching her. She's so good at what she does. She makes it look easy. That's why. Yeah. She's so smooth, and she makes it look easy. The way she transitions from holds and things and goes flying, like she makes it look easy.
And she only had, I think, like 3 matches so far, but they've all been good. Like every match she's had in AEW has been a really good match. Like I know she was away she was obviously away for a while when she left WWE before she went to Japan. Then she got injured and was away for a while.
Yep.
After that, and she doesn't seem like it. You wouldn't think that like she's only wrestled 3 times in the last 2 years or something, right? But,
right. You'd think she never stopped. Like it's like she picked up right where she left off.
Yeah, she's great. I think I hope that. No offense to Forbidden Door, Stephanie Vacker, but obviously she's not in AEW, so that's not going to be a long-term thing. I wonder where Mercedes is going to go after this, like because the Toni Storm seems kind of occupied at this point, and Mercedes is the TBS champ. So what do you think is next for her?
Well, I could see her maybe starting a faction with the women. I think that would be fun.
Oh yeah.
I think that would be fun. I still want to see, like, obviously, I think it could happen someday pending Saraya gets cleared. I think it'd be fun to see that old kind of feud. I think they were wrestling before Saraya got hurt again in WWE.
Yeah.
She was in a match with Mercedes. I could see for sure that happening or picking back up if Saraya gets cleared again.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be really fun because they could run with that.
That was that was Saraya's or Paige's at the time last match. Like she got kicked in the back and then left for several years, right?
Yes,
so they could go really far with that.
It could be similar to Willow saying, well, I walked out and you didn't. Like that kind of a thing. I mean, they could run with that, but I would love to see like Mercedes like start a faction. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, I don't know who would be in it, but I like the idea. I can't think of anyone but I like the idea because she seems like she should be someone who has like people to do her bidding.
Especially as a CEO, she could have, her interns or her, she's the boss, she's the CEO. She could have everybody doing her running for her.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, give her like an executive assistant and a bunch of things. Who that'd be fun. I would like that. That sounds cool. I enjoy that. More women's stuff. A video package of Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May, which it explained their relationship a little bit, which I liked.
Yeah, because oftentimes when we get some other people that come in, we're like, who is this?
Yeah. Though the only problem I had with it was I heard people, mainly Brian Alvarez on his podcast. He was talking about how, AEW finally explained who Marina Shirakawa was. I'm like, they kind of explained it earlier. They did
Hmm.
tell you that she was like in a team with they went more in depth this time, but they did tell you that she was in a
Hmm.
team with Mariah May and that she was from Stardom. And but yeah,
Yeah, Stardom.
I like the segment. It was good. I like that Mariah May is friendly with both of them. She's not like selling out her friend for Tony Storm, and she's not selling out Tony Storm for her friend. She's trying
Yeah,
to,
she's like trying to keep the peace
yeah,
almost. Like she's
which
like,
obviously
"Oh,
means
but
that she's
I'll
not
do it
going. She's
right. I'll
clearly
do it
not going
for
to keep the
you.
peace.
I'll do it for you, Tony." I just, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I like that goes right into Tony Storm's segment backstage where Mariah told her that there's going to be a contract signing, and then she's like, "Oh, but don't worry, I'll be there to make
Yeah,
sure
I
that
could
everything."
see and I could see this like backfiring on both of them for
Yeah,
sure, like obviously it's gonna blow up and be bad, but it'll be
you
really
mean a
entertaining.
contract signing is gonna not turn out properly?
It'll be really entertaining when it does though.
I would assume that they would both sign the contracts and then go their separate ways. That would
Yeah.
make sense to me.
As long
But
as
yeah,
her
I
kids.
don't know what's gonna happen. Something's Mariah May is gonna do something. Like she's gonna bump into one of them while they're signing, or she's gonna do
Oopsies,
some
yeah.
do
Oopsies. Drop
something
the
that makes
pen and
yeah
yeah.
makes one of them jealous of the other.
Yep.
Something's gonna happen. I love this storyline. I think this has so many ways where it could go. This could have Mariah May side with either of them. This could have
Yep.
Mariah May side with neither. This could have it's got a lot of options.
It could go a lot of different ways as long as somebody's tits persist. That's I love when Tony says things like that.
Tony's. I know we talked about her last week, and we don't like. She's amazing.
She's
Everything
so
that she's
good.
done has been so good.
Her tits
She's.
persisted. She watches for the shoe. Like just with Renee every time. Poor Renee.
I could just see her like on a flight in between cities, just like writing down weird things for herself to say.
Hmm.
Like she's bought into this character, and it makes like everybody else buy into this character, even though it's like on its surface this is a dumb character. Like it's
Oh, it's
stupid.
so stupid, but it works.
Yeah,
Because
it
I think
works.
because she doesn't half-ass it. I think it's because she is like goes full send with it. I think that's why
Yeah,
it works. She doesn't
yeah.
mail it in. She is just on it.
I watched someone on Reddit posted from One Night Stand, like the ECW show in like
Hmm.
2005. It was Sandman's entrance, and Mick Foley was doing commentary, and the crowd was like singing along and really into it. And Mick Foley said, "Oh, they believe because he believes," and it made me think a little bit about like current wrestling and how many of them actually believe. Like I feel
Yeah.
like Toni Storm believes in what she's doing. Like you believe in her character because she believes in this
Right.
character.
Yeah, it works.
And like a couple people are like that. Like Swerve, I believe
Hmm.
like when he acts like he's like kind of a crazy person, like I obviously it's a TV show, but like you believe it because he's committed to it.
Mox is like that too, I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think, when you see like tidbits from Renee on social media and there's like Mox and their daughter, and it's just like it melts your heart. But then like he is like this weirdo. And when you think
Yeah,
of all the weird stuff he did in WWE, like with the plant with Mitch
yeah,
and the insane asylum. And I mean, like he just the same kind he's still the same kind of guy, even though it's not John or it's not, Dean Ambrose anymore. It's John Moxley, but
yeah,
it's still kind of got that same kind of feel to it. And it's the same thing, like when he wrestled with um when he was in New Japan last time, and he just was kind of that like just kind of slacker, like let's go, I'm hauling it for both of us. and
yeah.
and he's like he's just being that kind of character. I really think he believes in that character. It's the same
Yeah.
kind of thing.
I think that's some of my problems with. I don't want to take shots at the Young Bucks because I've said before I kind of like this gimmick that they're running now, um, but they kind of need to believe it a bit more.
Yeah, they need to lean into it one way or the other, like you said. And I think that would make it seems like when wrestlers to me are really into what they're doing, that makes it more fun.
Yeah,
It just is
definitely.
more entertaining. It's more believable, like you said, when they believe you believe. It makes it more fun that way.
Like the Young Bucks feel like they're playing a character of an annoying boss
Hmm.
right now. Whereas like Toni Storm is obviously playing a character, but it doesn't feel like Toni Storm thinks she's playing a character. Like in
No,
your eyes, like
it feels like Tony Storm is this character. Like this is
right,
Tony Storm. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that matters. I think like obviously like none of us are stupid enough to think that these are their real personalities, but
What?
like
Mercedes is a real CEO. What are you talking about?
and Toni Storm is from the 30s.
She is from the 30s.
That's right. But yeah, I like that. Like she's gone, no pun intended, like all in on this, and she believes it, and she embraces it, and it makes it better for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what makes it so fun, and that's why everybody enjoys when Tony's doing her thing.
Yeah. Also, she's just hilarious.
She's so funny.
It's too bad that you guys get commercial breaks, because whenever she does commentary, and she has like she talks through the breaks, it's even funnier than the actual commentary that she does. And there was one like a couple of matches ago. It was Saraya, the Saraya match that she was doing commentary for, and she was just like, "I hope she slaps her," and you could tell that she forgot that now she's on actual TV, and then she was like, "I don't even know what she should do," because you could tell if it was during the break, she would have been more offensive, but then she's like, "Oh, now I'm back on standard television. I can't say what I wanted to say."
There was one, I don't remember what it was. She was doing commentary, and the guy that carries her belt around for her, they're trying to get it set up on the table, and she's like, just hold it, just hold it. Why don't you just hold it, dear? Like, because it wasn't working. Like, I kept trying to set it up so it looked like some presentable on the table. She's like, just hold it, dear. Just hold it. Like,
that's another thing. She works really well when things go wrong. Like last week when she like was supposed to run into the ring and throw her shoe and she tripped, but like she just like over exaggerated the trip and like flipped around a bit, and like it just works. Like she makes it work.
She's quick because she's quick-witted.
Yeah. She can go with like if there's a problem, she could just a lot of wrestlers or people would just kind of sit there. Oh, it didn't work out.
Like, oh, I screwed up. But she just runs with it. She just goes with the flow. She's great.
Yeah, she's done great. Now your friend was backstage. Our friend, we talked about him a little bit earlier. Wet Pack.
Not Dry
backstage.
Pack.
No, not Dry. He was only dry that one time.
It's weird. It's weird when his hair's not all stringy in his face.
I love that for like speaking of the wetness that he knows he's gonna cut an interview backstage, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna douse myself in water before. There's no reason for that.
No, he's not wrestling. I know they do. He's not wrestling, but he's just backstage cutting a promo, and he's sopping wet.
But he was angry as usual.
Of course, he's back.
Yes, shockingly. I liked that he was just like, oh, I came back and I thought it was going to be a big triumphant return, and ever since then I've just lost to like a bunch of losers, and he's just like mad. I love that.
It reminds me of when he came back. He had a social media presence because WWE required him to.
Yeah.
And then when he left and when his contract expired, he tweeted, and he was like, "I hate all of you. Don't tweet me, blah blah blah." And like all of the replies were just everybody with like heart emojis, like "I love you," like it was just so wholesome. And he's like, "I'm a bastard and I hate all of you." Like all of the replies were just so wholesome about how much everybody loves him. It was just great. But yeah, he's so good at that, just being that mean, like run down old crotchety man.
He just like everything makes him mad. He's just like,
I lost to a bunch of losers.
He declared himself for the Owen tournament, which I like. I like that people are declaring themselves for this. It makes it seem like a bigger deal. I know there's like world title shots on the line, so that obviously already makes it seem like a bigger deal. But having people like declare themselves that this is like their redemption, or this is their big story, or this is their next big goal, I think it helps a lot.
It does help because it's not a stake in itself, but it's people making a stake for themselves. Like, oh, I lost a bunch. Now I'm going to come back and jump in it. Or, I'm going to do this for somebody else so they believe in me. It makes it, a little better.
Yeah. And it is like we've said that a lot of the matches don't have any stakes, but like, even though this is a tournament and there's only one winner, like everyone in it is going to have their own story.
They're clawing for their own goals, and it'll make it fun.
Yeah, which I liked about the C2 that they had last year. Everyone kind of had their own reasons for being in it and their own things that they wanted to accomplish, and I think that helps. Now for the men, and I like that they've announced some of them and not all of them. For the men, so far we have Bryan Danielson, who declared last week. We have Shingo Takagi, who declared this week in a strangely timed promo. That was when they had Ray Phoenix backstage, and Renee's like, I was talking to Ray Phoenix earlier.
And I was like, she's like, oh, and this is in his story. It didn't start, that long ago. And I thought they were gonna run into like a bit, like WWE
like a Ray Phoenix package, yeah.
Like here's his story, and he's doing a promo about like how hard he's fought, and then it went into something else entirely, and I was like, I'm confused. What's going
That
on
was
here?
very weird, and I didn't even realize that Shingo Takagi was declaring for the Owen until I looked it up later because I was just so confused by the fact that the promo even aired.
Right. I was like, what is this promo for? Like, where does this doesn't belong here. It feels like they were supposed to totally run something about Ray,
Right. Yeah, like
right?
they're supposed to
Like,
run a Ray Phoenix promo and they hit the wrong button and then just kind of went with it.
yeah. It just was so out of place. And then later when you said that, you were like, "Oh, I think that was supposed to be he was declaring for the Owen." And I was like, "Oh, but that still didn't
Yeah, it
seem
didn't
right."
fit
But
where it was. They should have
yeah.
ran that like coming out of commercial break or something. That would have
Mhm.
made more sense. But yeah, anyway, it was weird. Um, then for the women, so far, Kris Statlander, Willow Nightingale. I wonder if they will end up facing each other. That would be fairly coincidental if they ended up facing each other
That
in
would
this
be really
tournament.
interesting too. That
Yeah,
would heighten the stakes for
yeah.
sure.
And then Mariah May also in there.
Yeah.
Um, any early predictions for this? The winner gets a title shot at All In, so they put some really big stakes on this.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Kris get pretty far.
Yeah,
I mean,
that would work.
she's climbing, she's gaining some heel heat. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Kris go in there.
Yeah, I could see that. I could also see Mariah May
Mhm.
because Tony kind of like put this in storyline. Tony encouraged her to be in the tournament and put her in the tournament and like, oh, I'm supporting my friend. But I feel like if Mariah May actually won, Tony would suddenly stop supporting her friend and she'd be like, okay, but you know your
Yeah.
job is to lose to me, right? And Mariah
Right.
May's like, no,
And that
it's
could
not.
really create a good conflict too there.
Yeah. And then for the men, I'm torn because I could see it being Pac because it's for a shot at All In and it's obviously in England, so Pac would work
I'm
if
a
he
little
was to win
biased
it.
to Pac. I'm a little biased to Pac.
But
I've been
I
a
mean,
fan of him.
Danielson could also work because
True.
he's said that this is his last year and he wants to have a big show,
Yeah,
a
that's
big match.
true.
So I don't know.
That's true.
Either one, I'd be happy with.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be happy with either one. I'm a little biased towards Pac, but I would also like to see it work out for Brian.
I mean, Pac would really work because it's in England, obviously,
Mhm.
and that would be a huge moment for him. He's been there I think he's been there since the beginning. I think he wasn't on the first show because there was some weird like
Right, there was like
contractual obligations or something.
yeah, contractual and like logistics and something with his passport or something, I
Right.
remember.
So he
Right?
wasn't on
Something
the first show, but he's kind of been there since the beginning.
right,
So
right.
letting him be in the main event in England and all in front of like a massive crowd, that would be really cool.
That'd be cool too.
Now the end of the show, it was a great match. Will Ospreay against Ray Phoenix. What did you think?
I liked it. I think, I think it's cool that Will can keep up with Ray, because Ray and Penta are so athletic and they're so agile and they jump and they fly and they're, and I think it's cool Will can keep up with him, and that's what made it
Yeah,
a good match.
yeah. I like too that a lot of times when they have two high flying guys, and Will Ospreay isn't necessarily a specific high flying guy, but he can do it obviously.
Yes.
When they have matches with two high flyers, sometimes they borderline seeming a little staged. Like someone flips and, oh, I know you're going to land here so that this guy can do that. And then he's going to land here so that you can do
Mhm.
that. This didn't feel like that. Like they obviously flowed really well together. They put themselves in a lot of cool scenarios, but it didn't feel like they were staging it as much as sometimes high flying matches do.
Mhm.
I liked it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it
I
was a
liked
cool
the ending a
match.
lot. I liked when he used the swerve stomp. Though I don't like the swerve stomp as a move. I
Mhm.
think I like that he used it and kind of glared at Swerve before he did it.
Yeah, very
That was
telling.
cool. So I'm not a fan of that move because the person on the ground has to like kind of half sit up and like sit there kind of it's like Rey Mysterio's 619 where like, oh, how do they conveniently end up straddled across the rope right now and then he gets to do the move.
Yeah.
Like when do you ever see a wrestler
It's
kind of
it's
half sitting up, struggling to get up in the corner?
yeah.
Like that never happens in
It's
anyone
always like
else's matches
right,
ever.
or like when anybody does like a coup de grace or anything or a frog splash, and you see like whoever's laying on the mat like scooch around like to try to get, like come on.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, the camera kind of tries to avoid it, but you could always
Mhm.
kind of see
You
it.
can
It
always
was
catch it.
yeah. But anyway, it was a good ending. I liked it. I really liked the actual ending of the show when
Oh yeah,
Swerve
with
came in at
Swerve
the
and
end.
Osprey. Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that was really good. I liked Swerve. I mean, I just checked the website to see what he actually said. I liked Swerve said, "You still think this is a damn game? You're still an immature little child. You can't handle my title on your shoulder. You're not strong enough to carry the
To
world
carry
on
the
both
weight,
shoulders."
and then
I like
yeah,
that.
and
And then
then
yeah,
he grabbed the title off of Swerve, which is very like woo, like that's heat,
yeah,
and I like that a lot to set up that story.
yeah,
And especially like you said, like what Swerve said about your little boy, like you're immature, which, I mean, you can kind of see that Ospreay's younger,
Right.
and
I mean,
and
that's been a knock on Ospreay for a long time, is that he is a kind of a, immature little guy. So
yeah, and it's just he is younger and he had some issues in the past, and
yeah,
but it's just so neat to because I think not to relay back to WWE, but I know like Roman always carried the championship, like the intercontinental, like it was heavy, like because he was the workhorse, he was doing the work,
right.
and
Yeah,
Swerve's trying to say the same kind of thing, like you can't carry this weight, you can't carry this company like I
yeah,
can.
yeah,
And I think that's kind of cool. And then it's very, very cool how Ospreay just took that out of his hands, like, and kind of felt it, like, I could get used to this, and I'm
yeah.
just
He
like,
kind of like bounced it a little bit to be like, okay,
yeah,
I
like,
can see how
okay,
this goes. Yeah.
yeah, I can carry
I
both of these.
I also like that he Swerve, while he's. I think it was Mick Foley. I've talked about this on the podcast before. Mick Foley, I think it was Mick Foley, once said that you can't completely run down your opponent and make them look like a loser, because if you do that and you beat them, you just beat a loser. And if they beat you, now you got beaten by a loser. So like
Right,
you kind of have to put them over a little bit too. And I like that Swerve was like, no, you're not good enough to handle my title. You're not good enough to be the face of the company. You're not good enough to carry the company. But then he did compliment him. Like, oh, you've done well with your belt. You've been a workhorse with your belt. You've beat other people in the past. I
right,
just don't think you can do it now.
right. Like this is the big leagues. What
Yeah.
I do is the big leagues. You're not ready for this yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I loved Swerve just kind of leaning in at the end and being like, you're lucky we're still friends, because if anyone else did this, I'd put them in the grave. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that was really well done. Swerve's so good.
He's done great. Like, he's done
Yeah,
incredible. Um,
yeah.
he's a guy like Ospreay a little bit, where I always thought he was a good wrestler, but like I didn't know he was like a personality and a promo guy. But
Hmm.
he's done really, really well with that.
Yeah.
And somehow he got fired, which doesn't make sense. I don't know. It's
I
very
don't
weird.
know. That is strange.
Yeah. But yeah, great show. I liked it. I thought it was a really good episode. I thought it felt like an episode, if that makes any sense. Like,
Right. It meshed together very well. It felt like like you said, like an episode. Everything kind of meshed together and flowed really well. It didn't feel choppy or like we were watching different companies.
yeah, like a lot of AEW shows tend to feel like the matches are all good and the storylines are all good, but it's like this is this segment, and then we're moving on to this segment, and
It's
now
almost like
this is this segment.
it's almost like you're watching different promotions within the same show.
Right. This felt like
Yeah.
a show. Like it
Mhm.
had a beginning, it had a middle, it had an ending of the show. Like it felt like an
Mhm.
episode of a TV show, which I really liked. But it was still AEW. Like it still had great
Yeah.
matches. It still had, various stars. It still had but I liked this episode. I thought this is one of their strongest dynamites they've had in a while.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
What we also learned on Dynamite was that this weekend is the 1 year anniversary of Collision, which I mean, it makes sense, but like also time doesn't make sense to me. So
10 years, all that jazz.
do you have any Collision memories? Do you watch Collision, first of
I
all?
don't, because I don't have
No.
cable. I kind of like illegally use my mom's cable login to watch Dynamite.
Oh, no,
Um,
you don't. I'm sure
no,
you don't.
no, I don't. I mean, so I watched Dynamite. I haven't watched Collision. Usually, honestly, I'm doing stuff on Friday nights that I don't sit down and watch TV until 10 o'clock at
Well,
night.
first of all, it's on Saturday night, so that
Oh, is it
explains.
on Saturday? Well, that's even worse. I'm usually on in front of the computer or my Xbox on Saturday nights. I'll
Yeah,
be honest.
Saturday is a bad time slot. I watch it when I can, but it is a bad time slot. Like either I'm doing
Saturdays,
something or
right?
yeah,
Saturdays, especially in the summertime,
yeah,
either like I live in a rural area, so everybody likes to have fires a lot. You go out drinking, have a fire, hang out, listen to tunes. That's a very common thing. And
yeah,
I'm not home on a Saturday night, or if I am, I gorge myself on pizza, sit in front of the Xbox, and I'm asleep by 11.
yeah.
I'm
For a lot of people, it's like for younger people, it's a going out night. For older people, it might be like your date night or something. Like
right,
it's a hard
right.
time slot to follow. Um, yeah, I feel like I don't really watch Collision recently. I was watching everything, and then I got kind of burned out by watching everything, and I figured I'll just watch Dynamite, and it's been working out well for me. So I feel like I'm
I
going to
feel
continue to
like
do that.
I don't know. I feel not to say like Collision's like the secondary show, but I almost feel like if you don't watch it, you're not really missing out.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably missing out on matches. Like I'm sure they have great
Yeah.
matches. I'm not, but like you're
Oh,
not.
sure.
You can skip it and watch the next Dynamite, and you don't miss any storyline beats, and you know what's going on, and
Yeah.
you're not like out of the loop.
Yeah.
What I don't know. There's some stuff I mean I watched early Collision, and I feel like they're not going to talk about early Collision because that was CM Punk Collision, which I
Yeah.
enjoyed, and I know a lot of people didn't enjoy it, and I know a lot of people are mad at it, and I totally understand that. But I liked it because it did feel different, and it felt like a show that you needed to watch back then. And
Yeah, and I mean, I've always said, I'm not particularly like anti this company, anti that company. I'm very much like if you like it, and you're gonna
yeah,
watch it. It
yeah.
doesn't matter.
Some of the stuff they did in early Collision, like I liked, they had a match with FTR, and I think they were still called Bullet Club Gold at the time. That was like, I think it was like an hour-long tag match it
Well,
was great.
years ago, it was like a thing between the Bullet Club and FTR.
Yeah,
Like way back when it was like Cody and Nick and Matt and Kenny.
yeah,
That was their whole thing was against FTR, and like everybody was hoping someday that was the original like Forbidden Door. They were going to
yeah.
wrestle
I mean,
FTR
that's where
again.
FTR's name came from, right? Like the
Yes,
Bucks used
yes.
to, yeah. But yeah, FTR was kind of like, at least in the first few months, I know because they're obviously friends with CM Punk, who was in charge of the show.
Mhm.
They were kind of like the workhorses of Collision. Every week they'd go out and have like an awesome match, and so that was they're a highlight of the show for me.
Yeah, they've always been a really great tag team too. Even
Yeah,
prior to being in AEW, they're just fun guys to watch. They do a really good job. Anybody they wrestled, they did a great job, and either elevating that person or whether losing to them or winning, it always was a good match. It always made it look like whoever they were facing was an equal.
yeah, yeah. I liked also they started off. They kind of when Collision started off, it was like along with Punk, it was like the Island of Misfit Toys kind of Collision. It
Hmm.
was like we're gonna put Andrade on here and Miro and Thunder Rosa and Ricky Starks and like people who aren't usually on TV. And like
Yeah.
that was kind of fun. I mean, it obviously completely did not work,
No.
but and in retrospect, it should like that's a terrible idea. But at the time, it seemed like a good idea.
I mean, it was different. They tried something different. You got to give them
Yeah.
credit for that. So.
Yeah, but I feel like they're not going to be talking about those first few months of Collision when they do their year retrospective
Probably
Collision.
not.
No, they're not going to be like, hey, that guy who threatened the boss and attacked someone backstage? Remember when he was on our show? I don't think they'll be doing that.
No, probably not.
But before we go, we've had some questions from social media this week, which that's always fun. If you have any questions for us, anything you want to talk about, we're at Elite City Pod basically everywhere. We do have a Twitter account that we don't check or use. So don't don't respond to that one. But everywhere else, Threads, Mastodon, Blue Sky, we're all in there. So if you have anything you want to, Instagram, YouTube, if you have anything else that you want us to talk about, any questions, anything you want to hear us discuss, or things that you thought of that we haven't mentioned, feel free to hit us up because that's always fun. The ones we had this week, so these are both from Threads. I believe it's Andre WOP who said, any match predictions for Forbidden Door that haven't been announced yet that you would expect to see, or even things that you just like to see? What do you think? Anything?
I would like to see Jay White.
Yeah, I would too.
I know we talked about like we haven't seen him in a while. I would like to see Jay White. I really would.
Yeah, that's
I would love
Jay
for
White.
him
Jay
to pop
White and
up.
Okada, I feel like have to have matches on this show
Oh, that would be so good.
because Jay White, especially because he had that storyline where he had to leave New Japan and he
Hmm.
lost the match in the head. It would be cool to have him be like, well, I said I had to leave New Japan, but this isn't New Japan. That would be kind of fun if you
Yep.
got to do that.
I think I would love to see Jay White. I think.
I don't know who I would want him to feud with. I don't know enough about most of the New Japan roster to pick someone for him to wrestle.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Naito because he's great. I
Yeah,
loved his old feuds with Kenny in New Japan. They were really funny. Like I loved like Naito always runs with he's Japanese. And I remember distinctly one promo. Kenny was really bad mouthing him, and and he just turns around and says, "Sorry, Kenny, I don't speak English." Like it's just he's so funny, and
I like that.
he's so good at it. So I really would like to. I'm excited to see him because he's awesome. Some of the guys from New Japan I really enjoyed when I used to follow that, like when the Bucks and Kenny and all of them were involved with that with the Bullet Club. It was really fun.
Speaking of Naito, I wonder if the title's going to change there. He's facing Mox. I feel like there's a chance that Mox loses there.
I could see that happening.
Because I mean, New Japan's going to want their title back eventually. and
Mhm. Mhm.
it would make sense to do it at
Yeah,
Forbidden Door.
that would
But
make sense
we'll
for
see.
sure.
Yeah,
But
Jay
yeah.
White is someone I really need to see in a match. I
Yeah.
want to see. I want to see. I don't know if Okada would do a match because they kind of left on not the great, not bad terms, but it was
Mhm.
kind of like from the internet rumors, Okada was kind of like he got an offer from AEW. It was like, wait a second, that's how much wrestlers get paid.
Yeah. He was kind of taking the hometown discount for
Yeah,
New
he
Japan,
was like,
but
oh,
but also
I
like
could have
I
make
feel
it.
like
Yeah,
Okada's done everything in Japan.
right.
He's done it all. What else is there for him to do there? So
Yeah,
coming to AEW kind of makes sense. I mean, I understand, yeah, he's probably getting paid a lot more, but what else is there for him to do? He's held just about everything. He's done it all.
yeah. And he's been their top, not just
Mm.
their top guy, but kind of like the center of their promotion for a very
He's been
long
kind of
time.
the face of their promotion for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
So
so I don't see why Okada has any reason to go for anything with New Japan. It's just he's kind of
I do
done
want
it
to see.
all.
I want to see him at the show just because I want to see him at the show. And I
Hmm.
think that there could be a. I don't. Again, I don't necessarily know who it could be, but I would like to see someone from New Japan be like, "Oh, you think you're better than us? You think you can just leave?" And that would just.
Yeah,
That would be cool.
that would be fun.
I would like to see that. Also, Jeff Cobb has made an open challenge for the NJPW World TV title, which hasn't been accepted yet. So
Hmm.
someone's going to accept it. I was thinking the last time Jeff Cobb was in AEW, he kind of had a thing with the BCC where he was hired goon for Don Callis.
Hmm.
Maybe someone like Claudio. I think that would work.
Oh, I love Claudio. I always forget
And he's
about
not doing
him.
anything.
He's
Yeah, he
not.
hasn't done much. He hasn't
He's
done much in a
drinking
while.
he's drinking coffee and
He's
posting on
drinking coffee and
Instagram.
making dad jokes on the internet, which I appreciate.
I miss a good Claudio spin. Wasn't it Nicholas from Peace Amp? He was the Cesaro section. That was him.
Yes.
He was
Yes.
yeah, I miss a good Claudio spin.
Yeah,
I
I think Claudio hasn't done much. I think obviously I don't think he'd win the title, but him having a kind of a high profile match at Forbidden Door, I feel like he kind of deserves that.
yeah, absolutely. He's been in wrestling a long time. So, I mean, he's been around for a while. It'd be nice to see him in more things. And
And he's a guy who's really good, but is never the main guy, which is not even a knock
yeah,
on him because like not
no.
everyone can be the main guy, right? But
No, but he's
he's
so
done
good, he
great.
deserves to be the main guy. That's the
Yeah,
thing. Like, we are just absolutely recognizing that, how good he is.
yeah. So yeah, Forbidden Door is going to be fun. It's always fun. I think it's going to be a great show. I like that this year. I mean, Forbidden Door always kind of feels like an all-star game. Like it's just we're going to pick the
Hmm.
best guys, and that's fine. Like I'm not saying that as a negative. Like they had some incredible matches at Forbidden Door, but this year it seems kind of like more integrated with
Hmm.
AEW stories, with New Japan stories. Like it feels like it's an actual event that they're building up to. So I think it's going
I
to be really
think it
cool.
fits a little better
Yeah.
this
I
year,
mean, and
this time.
MJF doesn't have a match there yet, and it's in Long Island. So they have to have a MJF match. I don't know who it would
Surely.
be. Um,
Huh.
I love that MJF kind of doesn't like it. He kind of hates New Japan and just like, I don't want to have to wrestle them. I know I have to, but I don't want to. Like, I like that. That's funny. Um, and I could see him being like, look, guys, I don't care about this pay-per-view, but it's in Long Island, so I have to be here. And like,
Yeah,
just give me someone. That would be fun. And we had
yeah,
another
that would be
question.
good.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just that would be good. I think, yeah, he could do something there because it's
Yeah.
Long Island.
Yeah, he has to be there. Like, there's no way he's not going to be there. Another question from Finally, which I like this question a lot. I like the other one too, but I feel like I see what he said is I feel like they're really hitting this stride in terms of roster balance and having the titles in the right place when it comes to the singles roster. With that having settled, I feel like they're trying to find the groups that work for tags and trios, and is wondering what groups do you see standing out for the rest of the year. This is interesting because I think we've touched on this before. The tags and the trios divisions have kind of fallen by the wayside.
They really have, because when AEW first started, they had such a solid tag division. I mean, they had not just the Bucks, but they had they had Ray and Penta. They had that tournament for
Yeah,
the
and that
tag
tournament was
team.
great.
It was
Yeah.
awesome because I remember the first Dynamite in Pittsburgh. I was so excited because I got to see the Lucha Bros. I was like, I love Penta. I was over the moon, and they won that match, and I was just so excited about it. And it was really good. And yeah, ever since then, it just seems like it's really kind of fallen to the wayside. Like, the titles don't mean anything. They haven't had good matchups. They haven't had good title reigns. Like, everything's kind of just been really focused on the singles.
Yeah, and I mean, they kind of
Um,
hinted at it this week by saying that the Bucks, they're like, oh, you haven't even defended your titles. Like they're kind of
Mhm.
acknowledging that that's a problem. But yeah, who do you think? What tag
Right,
teams
and
do you think are going to show up or
well, I
be
mean,
more prominent?
we saw they were trying to mix things up. Like they put Kyle O'Reilly with Mark Briscoe and OC and I think I could see this whole thing with Samoa Joe and Hook going to something before blows up. Like, you know what I mean? Like I could see them holding on to a title reign for just a little bit and then they start to get in each other's heads
Yeah,
and
that'd be kind of
it
like I think it
backfires.
was Blasco talked when we were talking to him earlier this week. He said they could kind of be like Swerve and Keith Lee, where
Yeah.
they're going to break up, but like in the
But it
meantime, they could be a
yeah.
cool tag team.
Yeah, I would also like to see the premier athletes kind of, they've been getting like pooped on and they've been
Yeah,
losing a lot and it would be cool to see them kind of make a comeback too because I I I enjoyed watching them in WWE. Those two are fun wrestlers to watch.
yeah, and they're both
Um,
really good wrestlers.
they are good
Um,
wrestlers. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that
So,
they kind of have transitioned the other trios title spot away from Jay White and onto Juice Robinson.
mhm.
They were just like, oh, we can all defend it, and then this week Jay White wasn't even there; it was just the three of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Jeez.
I think that works better. I think the guns with Juice
Yeah.
Robinson works better, and Jay White should be a singles wrestler. So
Yeah.
that's working out for them.
I think yeah, they're trying to mix it up and see they're throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks at this point. And I think it'll get better. It's just going to take some time.
It's always been weird that like I remember when we before you were on the podcast when they announced that the trios titles me and Blasco were talking about like, oh, there's so many teams, like there's
Mhm.
House of Black, there's the
Oh yeah,
Acclaim,
House of Black and
there's so many teams, but then none of them really fought for
did
the trios
anything.
title. Like
Yeah.
they just didn't. And it's weird to me that AEW has like 20 different factions, which is not a knock on it. Like I like the factions, but like some of them could put together a trios team and have them try to go after the title.
Oh
It's
yeah,
weird
what
that they
about
haven't.
like Evil Uno and stuff? Like we haven't seen them
Yeah,
and
they haven't been around a long
oh
time.
my
I
gosh,
think
yeah,
they're
I
on
used to love them.
ROH. I think they're on ROH right now, but I mean,
Oh, okay,
there's
okay, okay.
there's no like firm divider really between ROH and
Yeah,
AEW.
House of
So
Black. I love like House of Black is just cool with like the aesthetics and everything. I feel like Malachi kind of brought some of that with from WWE with him because I always say like he had the coolest gimmick in WWE and they ruined
yeah,
it.
I
He
mean
was so
they could do like Roderick Strong and the Kingdom. They could be a
yeah.
trios
It's
team.
it's weird seeing Kyle O'Reilly not with like Roderick because I mean they were Undisputed Era with Adam Cole and all that like that was their thing. It's just weird not seeing him with them.
Then no offense to Kyle O'Reilly, like he's a great wrestler, but like I do think he needs to be involved in something. Like he needs a
Hmm.
team, he needs a group. He's not like
He's
a
not a
guy
singles
who's
guy.
he's not a
No.
singles guy. I mean Daniel Garcia is another guy. I feel like they've kind of hinted at pushing him,
Hmm.
and I can't see him necessarily being a big single star, but as a trio he could work. As a tag team he could
Yeah,
work.
there's some people that just work better in groups. It
Yeah,
works better for them.
I mean
So,
I'm looking at the roster now. There's like Top Flight. I mean they're a tag team. They could also be a trio because they've had
hmm
a trio with Action Andrade. That would work. It's
yeah,
kind of strange that they haven't had more of these matches.
I think yeah, the tag stuff's kind of fallen to the wayside, and I think they're trying to work out the kinks and bring that back. Like just kind of like I said, like they're throwing tag teams at the wall and seeing what sticks with different combinations
Yeah,
of people. And I think whatever picks up momentum is what they'll run with and see what happens.
I mean, because even when they had this tournament recently where the Bucks ended up, winning the titles,
Hmm.
that kind of just seemed like the whole point of the tournament was to have the Bucks versus FTR, which was a good match, but
Hmm.
those teams are already established. You don't need to have them in a tournament, right? They're already
Right,
top teams.
right.
So I don't know. It's like I'm just looking through, like, yeah, Daddy Magic, like he can be in a team. Yeah, there's numerous options, but they just haven't done any of them. So hopefully they
Hmm.
do. I would like because that was kind of what set AEW apart from not just WWE but most other wrestling companies ever. Like most wrestling companies don't put a strong focus on tag teams being on par with the singles wrestlers, and
Right,
they were for a
right.
while, and that was cool. And I would
Yeah.
like them to keep
I
doing that.
Yeah, because I remember that first initial tournament. It was really cool. There was a lot of great tag teams in that. Um,
And
and
like they
they
had
had
main event matches, like the Bucks against Lucha Bros were like a main event match, and not like, oh,
yeah.
we're gonna put a tag team match as a main. Like it felt like a main event match. Like it felt like it deserved to be
Hmm.
there.
Yeah, it's odd. Yeah, everything kind of just fell to the wayside, and the singles wrestlers obviously were the main focus, but I hope they kind of bring that back and it takes
gives
off
them,
again.
obviously they have a huge roster, so it gives them something to do. Like if there's going to be a trios match, that's now 6 guys you get to have a match.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah, or
that
you
would
could
help.
have like a 4-way trios match some night for something, you know?
I would
You,
like that, just like because have like a tornadoes trio with just like chaos. It's like 12 guys just
I
going
think
nuts.
it's fun when you get more people in the ring like that because just like it gets more chaotic.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
all for like chaos matches. I think they're fun. So
yeah.
go for it.
So they could do a lot of different things with it. It's just I would like to see more focus on it and get some more tag teams together. Like like I said, there's guys we haven't seen in a while and
I
factions
mean,
like
there are rumors now of them bringing in Maximum Male Models. There's Motor City Machine Guns are available. There's a few other teams that you've heard rumors of AEW signing. So I mean, if they're going to
yeah.
sign new teams, they
I
have to
still
make the
can't
tag titles
believe
mean something.
that like Motor City Machine Guns are still out there doing their thing.
Yeah, I know, it's been a
They've
long
been out.
time.
It's been a long time. Yeah, but they're
Yeah, it'll
cool.
be
They're cool
fun.
too. Yeah.
It's good to yeah. Thanks to everyone for those questions. They were really fun to talk about. It's always great to get comments from people, questions from people. Not only is it like give us something to talk about, but it's stuff that we might not have thought of on our own that we can add to the podcast. So that's always fun. So like I said, we're at Elite City Pod, Threads, Mastodon, Blue Sky, wherever it is you are. We're there pretty much spread equally across those services. So feel free to send us your questions, comments. Yeah. Jay, anything else?
No, I think that's it. It was a fun collision. Or sorry, wow, fun dynamite. It's late. Fun dynamite, fun podcast to record. Yeah, nothing to
Yeah.
add.
Well, if there's nothing else, I guess we'll wrap things up. Thanks to everyone for listening. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment if you're on a platform that allows commenting, depending on how you're listening to us. Jay, remember, what should they do?
Smash that like button.
There you go. Thanks again. Hope everyone has a great week. And until next time, later.